This is With the First Pick, the CBS Sports NFL Draft Podcast. This is episode 81. Hey, is that Randy Moss's number?
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Randy Moss.
Yeah.
81. We'll go through that. We'll see how good we do between 81 and 99. If we can get every number every time without stuttering. That voice you heard there, that handsome devil, Rick Spielman. I'm Ryan Wilson. And today, Rick, it's Tuesday, which means it's time for our favorite segment, Pop or Drop, where we highlight some of the top performances from last weekend's college games. And there's also the old Pop or Drop Pro Edition, which is a fancy way of saying we're ranking our top 5 NFL rookie performances. And of course, no rookie conversation would be complete without looking at the 3 first-round quarterbacks who had up and down week 2s. We'll get to that. So if you're watching us on YouTube at NFL on CBS, you can see the official With the First Pick countdown clock. I got discombobulated there. Rick, what we got?
Yeah, we have exactly 219 days until the 2024 NFL Draft. And please put a comment in the box about the budget and potentially getting a digital clock to count the 219 days and counting down.
219 sounds like a lot, but it feels like this clock's moving faster than one per day. Either I can't add or time's moving pretty quickly. I think because you're always busy, but I'm busy too. All the homework Debo gives us. So got to stay up on our game here. And that's what this podcast is all about. By the way, if you missed last Thursday's show, CBS Sports draft writer Josh Edwards joined us to talk about his latest mock draft that featured 4 quarterbacks and 7 wide receivers. We'll talk about some of those quarterbacks today, how they did over the weekend. You can check that show out in the old podcast feed. And Rick, on Thursday, just 48 hours from when we're recording this podcast here, they're doing a mailbag. You can tweet us questions on Twitter. I'm at Ryan Wilson CBS. You can find Debo at NFL Draft CBS. I'll give you Rick's Twitter. I don't know if he still looks at it on a daily basis.
I have no idea.
At Spielman _ Rick. In fact, I encourage you to tweet him mailbag questions just to see if he can retweet them. If he retweets them, that's a victory, and we'll probably get to it. If he tweets it out 3 months from now, you know what happened. All right. And if the spirit moves you, you can always leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts with a mailbag question. That'll enhance the chance that your question gets answered. It'll probably get answered 100% if you do that. We'll try to answer all of them, or as many as we can. And speaking of 5-star reviews, on Thursday, we'll continue working our way through your player evaluations. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, here's the deal. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, nominate an FBS or FCS college player, and we'll evaluate him on this show, talk about his draft prospects. And we've started doing that. We'll do some today, and we'll do some on Thursday for sure.
We're doing a 5-star review today.
I think we're going to mix in, by happenstance, J.J. McCarthy, who was a request, more than one request. And he had an interesting week. I went back and watched the ECU game, the week 1 game of J.J. as well. So I've seen a couple now. And we'll talk about him, and we'll talk about some other players on this list that I'm pretty excited to talk about. Finally, take a second to hit the old thumbs up on YouTube at NFL on CBS. It helps us grow the show and spread the word. All right, Rick. I was in Connecticut this weekend doing some CBS Sports HQ stuff. What'd you do this weekend?
I was in Fort Lauderdale doing some CBS Sports AQ stuff. I have co-host that radio show on Saturday nights from 5 to 8 on XM to do all the games coming up on the weekend. So, and then I spent most of my free time doing my homework for Debo.
Yeah, I got in late. We did the Pick 6 recap show on Sunday night. Got back to the hotel around 2. Got up at 9. Went across the street to the coffee place where I got you 4 or 5.
Our famous coffee place. Will we go there next year if we're up in Sanford?
If we're not fired yet, we'll go there. And then for the rest of the day, from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. when I had to go over back to the studio, I was just grinding tape per Debo's orders. And I didn't say request; I said orders. Debo drives a hard bargain, but I think it's for a good reason, because it's Pop or Drop time, Rick. And we got to start with our guy who a year ago was crushing it at the FCS level, and we weren't really paying attention. We knew about Jackson State and Dion, of course, but his son, Shadur Sanders, continues to impress. So that Colorado State game was a ton of fun to watch. I pulled a Spielman and only watched the first half because of the 10 p.m. Eastern start. And then in the morning, I caught the highlights of the second half in overtime. And this was the first time it felt like that Colorado had been tested. And that's a weird thing to say when you face TCU and you face Nebraska, and then you go up against Colorado State, which isn't a Power 5 school. But Colorado State brought it. Now, you can say things got a little chippy/dirty early on in that game from the Colorado State side. Travis Hunter was lost for a few games with a lacerated liver or kidney, lacerated organ.
Cheap shot. Very cheap shot.
Cheap shot. And the kid that did it, I'm sure he feels bad. He's gotten death threats, and that's a whole nother thing. I would like not to get to that point, but right. Just try to play within the rules. Let's go there. But I thought for the first time all season, Shedeur, who we've talked about each and every week, looked a little out of sorts early. He was getting hit. He got hit in that Nebraska game as well. I thought Nebraska did a good job of scheming up ways to get to him. He continues to show that he's maybe more athletic than we thought. He can win with his legs. And I thought as the game went on, and as his teammates started falling by way of cheap shot on some occasions, it fired him up. And sometimes you see players get fired up in a bad way and they lose control. And
I love Deshaun Watson last night.
That's exactly what I was going to say. 2 personal foul penalties on face mask by a quarterback. I mean, where do you see that happen? Instead, Shedeur sort of used that to focus his energies to take it out on that Colorado State defense on the field. And by the way, we'll get to this throughout the draft process, but Colorado State has some dudes that are going to get drafted. Kamara was one of those dudes. I think he got kicked out late for targeting. But what was your takeaway from how Shedeur Sanders endured the slow start? He had his first turnover-worthy play that I can remember from charting all his throws. Had the interception, then had another one later, but then came back and was just firing lasers in the second half at overtime.
Yeah, this kid continues to impress me, and it impresses you in a different way every week. And, you know, the first interception I thought was a little bit on the receiver. It looked like it hit him in the hands and kind of spun up. So I didn't, even though it counts as an interception, I didn't think that was on him at all. But I agree with you. You've seen him make some more plays with his legs. You see how tough he is to hang in the pocket. I think they have a little bit of a suspect offensive line.
Yeah.
So he's getting pressured a lot. But the thing that impressed me the most, you've seen all the same type of throws. And Colorado State kind of played this cover 2 or this deep scheme. So there were a lot of open areas and open windows to throw to. But this time, unlike the other games, when the game was on the line in overtime, this kid came through. So every time, even though it's a different pressure situation, whether it's the opener and TCU and his dad, Prime getting everything all hyped up, to the Nebraska game that was different pressure, to this game that probably they were heavily favored, I believe. And this goes into double overtime or how many overtimes. But when the game was on the line, this kid came through and made the plays that he needed to make to get them to score late in the game and win the game. So this kid, to me, basically it has all the it factor to him.
So he is solidly my QB3 right now. And here's a question I'm going to put to you. I watched Drake May over the weekend. I don't know if you had opportunity to. We're not talking about him today, but we'll certainly be talking about him in the weeks and months to come. Is he going to push Drake May for QB2? Because Drake May played okay. He didn't play great. The numbers look good, but on the field, I had some questions about some of the decision making.
Yeah, I didn't see him this week's game, but I thought he was very the previous game that we broke down. I know it was in the rain.
App State,
but
no overtime game.
Yeah, some throws that skipped that should have been completions. And again, it looked like it was really wet conditions and rain conditions. So, but that game kind of stuck out as maybe a game that he'd probably want to try to come back, or a game that he would want back from the way that performance was to go to OT with App State. But this kid here, I mean, it's amazing. No matter what's thrown, every curveball that's been thrown his way so far, he's had an answer for. Now he's going to get another curveball this week, I believe.
Yeah, Oregon, baby.
And we'll see how he responds, especially if he doesn't have some of the playmakers, and Hunter particularly available to him, and see if he can continue to carry this Colorado team on his shoulders.
Xavier Weaver's another wide receiver on that team who's made play after play, week after week, and we'll be talking about him in the coming weeks as well. Let me ask you about this theory, and you've seen a ton more football than I have. Does it feel – and look, I love the Colorado story, and I love that Colorado is now relevant, and I love what Coach Prime has done for the program and the kids, and I love that his son's getting the exposure that he deserves. But does it feel like when you sort of put yourself out there as us against the world, and you have the swagger and you're sort of flaunting it at times, that puts a target on you to have situations where it's not right, but where you have guys taking cheap shots at you on the field to prove that you're not maybe as great as you think you are. Is that?
No, you would hope it's not coming down to cheap shots just because of the swagger that they have and the swagger that Primetime has brought to that program. I mean, when you're watching the tape, and unlike you, I can't stay up past 9:30, so
it's tough, man.
I went back and watched the tape. But the electric in that stadium, when's the last time Colorado Stadium was filled like that?
Cordell Stewart and Michael Westbrook.
Yeah, that looked like an incredible atmosphere. And then it seems like people like to poke the bear a little bit, with the sunglasses and,
right.
The whole thing with Coach Norville kind of stirred the pot a little bit for the game. So but it's fun. It's like I said, I think it's in jest a little bit, and it creates great media, and it creates excitement for the fans.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But some people do it the old school way. Prime's doing it his way. His way is different than any other way.
It's working.
But it's working.
It is working.
It'll be interesting to see, though. They're going to hit adversity.
Yeah.
When the adversity does hit, how do they respond after that?
And they had adversity in the first 30 minutes, and they righted the ship. I thought that Colorado State quarterback, that was his first start, and he wasn't afraid either. So I think it was a good test. Obviously not the athletes that they'll see from Oregon, but they could have folded, and they didn't. And I think there's something to say for that.
It was Colorado State Super Bowl. That was
100%. That's right.
To be on the national stage and the whole shoot match. So hopefully they didn't expend all their energy on future games going ahead, but they played that game like it was the Super Bowl.
So I had to mention this. It was 28-20 with 2:06 to go in the fourth quarter. Colorado got the ball back on their own 2-yard line, and Shedeur led a 98-yard drive to get to within 2, and then went for 2, got that. Then all the throws to number 87, the tight end, who I don't think featured much at all prior to that. And that guy looked like Gronkowski out there making catch after catch. It is crazy. But to your point, some guys shrink in big moments. It feels like Shedeur, the moment is never too big for him, and he remains calm. Now, look, he got fired up when his teammate and buddy got hurt. I get that. But he focused that energy, like I mentioned earlier. So, again, quarterback 3 for you, he has to remain there. You're not changing that unless you're moving him up 1.
No, he's still 3.
And you'll be happy to hear I can't come up with a comp for Shedeur. Does one pop into your head just watching him play this season?
No, to be honest with you, because
it's a tough one.
It's a tough one. He's a tough one to figure out right now.
All right, we'll think about that. But I think an easy part of this next question is Pop. Man, he's fun. So the sort of talking points is that he's going to return to school. How do you feel about that, knowing as much as I do about his relationship with, he has a close relationship with his dad, but do you think he comes back?
Yeah, if he does come back, great for him, because I don't know what the 2025 class looks like. To me, that's true. This is a very good draft class of quarterbacks. I think there's a lot of good quarterbacks in this draft coming out. But if he comes back and plays like he is and plays another year at the level that he's playing at this type of competition, who knows that he doesn't become the number 1 overall pick in 2025.
Yeah. That's a great point that I don't think anyone's talked about, or at least I haven't heard them. The other thing to think about is, if I'd said this 8 months ago, you probably would have punched me. But they could be legit battling for a national title a year from now.
Yeah, and like I said, his buddy Hunter there is not draft eligible, so maybe he comes back and they team up for one more go.
That's fun to think about too. Also, it'd be nice to have a head start on next year's quarterback class. Should Shedeur decide to return, so that'll save us a little homework. All right, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I haven't talked with any scouts about the off-field stuff in years, and by off-field I mean just his sort of interpersonal skills. But Spencer Rattler might be my favorite college football player to watch right now, because he is so tough. The quarterback for South Carolina, played Georgia in some sloppy conditions. He will rip any throw. He trusts his receivers implicitly, and sometimes that's to his detriment, because he has number 17, Xavier Legette, who we've talked about on the show before. And after that, there's a little drop-off. The offensive line is suspect, and he just stands in the pocket. He takes hits. You don't see the demeanor sometimes you see from quarterbacks who in the fourth quarter have been hit in the mouth 50 times, and they're sort of exasperated and exhausted and trying to get this thing over with. I feel like he takes on every challenge that comes his way. You see him here in this still that Devo just put up on YouTube. He's about to get popped in the mouth once again. Not the biggest quarterback, but he's each week, like I said with Shador, he's more athletic than I remember that he is. He has the arm strength to squeeze in the tight windows. And I'm just impressed with, to use an old person term that you'll appreciate, his moxie. Like, he has grit. Now, again, I know he left Oklahoma and there were reports that he wasn't a great teammate. I don't know if that's changed. I feel like it has, just watching him, having no inside information. Where are you on Spencer Rattler? Because I've been impressed with what he's done this season.
Yeah, the senior citizens that I play against in pickleball say that I have some moxie on the pickleball court.
Man, you're calling these guys out. Are they 100?
Very good term. We'll have to implement that. I'll have to implement that into my reports.
There you go. Moxie.
This kid is I didn't like him last year when we broke him down.
Yeah.
And the more you watch him, the more he continues to grow on you. I mean, he's got the arm talent. He can make all the NFL throws. This kid gets hit in the mouth and continues to get back up.
Every time.
The athleticism to make some plays with his legs. I still questioned a little bit at the end of the game some of his decision-making. I know it was 3rd and 20. They're still in the game, and he throws the interception there. He kind of forced some throws into coverage late in the game when you'd like to see him live for another down, maybe take the check down that was open underneath and then go forth and then try to go get it then. So some of that decision-making in that critical time, because they hung in tough with Georgia at the end.
Yeah, they did.
But other than that, the release, the sense of moxie that he has to play the position has really changed my opinion on him from where I thought I saw at Oklahoma, just TV scouting, and what I saw last year when we thought he potentially may come out. But this kid is going to start moving up draft boards as well if he continues to play the way he has.
Yeah, I was talking last fall. I was talking to a scout about him because I thought maybe he would come out, and he said, "Look, man, here's the deal. He's a developmental quarterback. Everyone wants to make him QB1, which he was a couple years ago, going into that season in Oklahoma where he got benched for Caleb Williams. And the reality is, when you watch him, he had a lot of growing to do, and it felt like he's made those leaps, and that's part of the argument, I suppose, for going back to school and getting more reps. But again, people leave and stay for different reasons. All right, here's I have to laugh every time I preface this. Here's my sort of 30,000 view comp for Spencer Rattler. You want to hear it?
Oh, God.
I know. Brace yourself. Coming out of school, not now. So go back in your time machine. Coming out of school, I see versions of the athleticism and arm strength of Zach Wilson. What do you think?
But I also see the poor decision making sometimes.
Yeah.
that Zach Wilson has too.
So is that a cautionary tale then?
It's cautionary. I mean, it's not that bad. I was expecting worse from you.
Yeah, me too. I'll be honest.
So,
progress.
Yeah.
Much like Spencer Rattler, I've gotten better.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to double down and throw something else at you. Spencer Rattler, right now, I have a late day 2 grade.
I'd agree with that. I think it's way into the Friday conversation as
Look
of
at that,
today.
though. Rick is so tired. He's just agreeing with me on things.
Yeah, it can go back to Saturday real quick.
Right.
See him make cleaner decisions at the end of games.
Let me ask you this. So what if you're sitting in a meeting and the pushback you get from the area scout or whomever you're in the room with says, yeah, but that game was on the line. They had to make plays there, and he's not going to win by checking it down with 2 minutes to go.
I understand that, but I also understand there were some opportunities to complete some balls to keep the drive alive, and who knows what happens.
Okay.
So it's like you're almost trying to force the situation too early when you didn't have to.
Yeah, no, I get it. And again, I mentioned him briefly, and we'll at some point cover him more extensively, but Xavier Legette continues to pop as just a big target who makes plays, contested catch guy. I don't know how fast he is. We'll find out. But whenever the ball's in his area, he seems to come down with it more times than not. I'm a pop on Spencer. Where are you?
I'll give him a pop this game because it was in Georgia and conditions and hostile environment, and he didn't totally how do you say it? Meltdown. Yeah. Meltdown in the bed, I think.
All right. We're going to stay in Georgia, go to the other side of the ball there. And we talked about Kwame Lassiter, the cornerback out of Georgia over the summer. I didn't love his 2022 tape, the games that I saw. I was impressed with the way he played in this game. Didn't get a ton of targets. He's long. He's physical. He plays mostly outside. I was really impressed with his run support and his ability to hit and run through wide receivers once they caught the ball. And it looks like he can run straight line, and his change of direction was pretty good for his size. See, okay, you can talk about that, but I didn't get I didn't see a lot of opportunities to run straight line. And I thought the ones that I did, I was like, okay, he's at least trying to stay in phase. So how did you feel about Kamari Lassiter's performance? He had 2.5 tackles for loss on the stat sheet. Interesting. So you were higher on him than I was over the summer.
No, I will say this. He is a big physical corner. I think he's a zone corner rather than a man corner.
Why do you say that?
Just because I don't think he's going to run fast enough.
Okay.
He has some issues, and especially when he gets in a foot race. I think he got beat across the field one time in a foot race. I love the physicality of his game. I do think he has some ball skills. He had 2 PBUs in this game, but I questioned his speed, especially if he gets in a foot race.
Interesting. Okay, good.
The one thing that I did see, and it was the field conditions, though, but he slipped a lot out of his transition closing back.
Yeah.
A couple times, and that is just balance and knowing what the conditions are on the field and how you can control that a little bit better. But I wouldn't be surprised. I'm going to say he's a corner first, but because of the way he hits and the way
interesting,
his ball skills, that some may look at him as a potential safety if he doesn't run fast enough.
Okay. And when you say fast enough, so if he runs a 4.55, what does that tell you?
That's going to be, if he's going to have a tough time, versus the speed of these receivers. Like, a tease would be like, what if he was on Mims from Denver?
Well, that's a wrap. I mean,
yeah, or Tyreek Hill or some of these other guys that can go.
All right. Well, I'm going to throw this back in your face because we have this conversation what feels like once a week now. Brian Branch ran a 4.58. He should have been a first-round pick. So,
yeah, but Brian Branch played faster on tape. What I've seen so far. In this.
Okay, fair enough. Well, 2 other questions.
So back in your face.
Jeez, what'd you say? Back in my face. He reversed block shotted me, Debo. The other thing is Kwame Lassiter versus Keely Ringo. Who are you taking first?
Lassiter right now, because the physicality part of his game, I think he's more physical than Ringo.
Okay, I agree with that. Ringo ended up going in the 4th round to Debo's Eagles. I had Kwame right now as a day 2 guy, possibly.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, he's a Friday talent, I would say.
Okay. All right, we're on the same page. I'm also. Let's see where you come down on this. I'm going to pop him. I liked what he did in that. And
I would give him a pop because you're all excited about the 2 big hits that he had. But I'm giving him a pop because of that, but also because he stripped the receiver of the ball or made some plays with the ball in the air twice. I started him with 2 PBUs.
All right, Debo was wondering if we're going to get a drop body on that one, and
nope.
Pop so far. All right, we're going to stay on the Georgia sideline. Going to go to the offensive side of the ball. Haven't talked about this guy other than briefly in passing, talking about Josh Edwards' mock draft last week. Again, you can check that on CBSSports.com. Brock Bowers, tight end 1 at the end of last season. Going into this draft class, remains tight end 1. I don't know what would have to happen for that to change. And he looks like he is a much better blocker this season than he had been previously. I was impressed. And they lined him up.
My fine feathered friend. You actually were observant on that. That was one of my critical notes here. And
it felt like they're lining up more in line as well because of that.
The thing about him, no question about the athleticism, and that shows up after the catch because they throw him screens, and you got to almost double check to make sure it's not a.
Yeah, they're throwing tunnel screens to a tight end.
Yeah, but his run after catch skills are unique. His athleticism is unique. I thought he would have been great to see him make that catch. It was like from the slot, he kind of faded out and thrown behind him, but he almost went up and made a great one-handed catch. But the thing that I didn't like as much last year that I think he's trying to prove is that he's more than just a receiving tight end.
Mm-hmm.
And watching him block this game, he's not going to be a guy that's going to drive a defensive end 40 yards down the field, but his grit, his toughness, his willingness to try to at least get in there and scrap.
Moxie.
He's trying to prove a point. We're going to end that Moxie thing after this podcast. You've already used all the Moxie you can use.
All right. We're done with the Moxie moratorium. Go ahead.
But I think he's trying to prove to everybody that I am more than just a pass catching tight end, because you saw the Musgraves last year, the Kincaids. Okay, they weren't blockers. This kid's trying to prove that I'm better than them, not only from a receiving standpoint, but also that I'm not afraid to throw my bag of bones in there and get dirty work as well.
And you mentioned that I don't know what the route was it inside fade or whatever that just went off his fingertips, but the fact that he was able to stack the defensive back like he was Marvin, like he was running routes as a wide receiver, that's what gets your attention. And you talk about the blocking obviously is important, but and maybe he ends up lining up more in line than we would otherwise imagine. But does that affect his draft stock, you think? Just because he blocks, he's more willing blocker and he's gotten better at it? Does that?
No, I just think that's proven that he's a good football player.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
More than one-dimensional.
7 catches for 54 yards. Didn't really flash in the sense that he made a spectacular play that we've seen before, but I think the added elements of his game, including blocking, are certainly something to keep an eye on, and it's fun to watch. So I popped him.
Pop.
Do you want to have a comp for him? I don't want to tell you my comp for him.
Go ahead.
I didn't have a comp for Kamari Lassiter. We'll get around to that. He's so I said Brock Bowers. You're gonna hate it so much. Is a more athletic TJ Hawkinson. Well, he doesn't hate it.
No, I'm not hating it. I'm not hating it today. I don't know where my hate is.
I know you're getting soft in your old age.
Yeah. Lassiter,
all right.
To me, I would say is a little bit like if you want to throw a comp as I go through my Rolodex thinking about this, since this wasn't part of the homework assignment.
Yeah.
Who's the safety at Denver that played corner at Alabama? They just got
Kareem Jackson.
Yeah.
That's your Kamari Lassiter comp?
Yeah.
By the way, Kareem Jackson in back-to-back weeks is taking guys out. Jacoby Myers in week 1, and then that cheap shot on who did he hit last week? This one? Tight end?
Yeah, in the end zone. That was
jeez. I don't know what that's all about.
That was a launch.
Yeah. I mean, come on. He's going to get suspended, I think.
Yeah.
If I had to guess.
Fine.
Do you have a Brock Bowers comp, or are you okay with more athletic TJ?
That's fine. It's early in the process.
It is early in the process. All right. Now, this guy becomes a pop. I will be truly impressed. Going to Tennessee, Joe Milton. And I want to like Joe Milton. He is supposed to be a great young man, good teammate, transfer from Michigan. The UVA game to season opener, he looked fantastic. UVA is not a very good football team for a ton of reasons, not all of them football related. This week against Florida, they're playing in Florida. Florida on paper, Tennessee was ranked 11th. Florida was unranked. But Joe Milton he struggled with consistency. He struggles with consistency when he's thrown on the run. And that's a problem when you leave the pocket too early frequently because you're not trusting what you're seeing. He throws with zero anticipation. And we've seen that's a problem that's plaguing Justin Fields now. And it's not all on Justin Fields. That offense is an absolute disaster. But if you're not throwing with anticipation in the NFL, it's going to make your life a lot easier. You see him throw that great touchdown pass, that little seam ball that was layered in perfectly. And then he comes back on a 3rd and 6 and short hops a slant. And those are the things that drive you crazy when you're trying to figure out what is this going to look like at the next level. And I don't say this to crap on the kid. I'm just saying if you're drafting a quarterback, you have to look at these things and say, okay, what does this mean as we move forward? He's athletic, but he's not Anthony Richardson athletic. I think he's more Drake May athletic in terms of trying to win with his feet down the field. So what are we doing with Joe Milton?
The other thing that bothered me a little bit, and I was watching that game a little bit as much as I could, was that it seemed like they had struggled getting the plays in, or with the atmosphere and him, they had to use some forced timeouts, which drove me crazy. Whether that's game management, whether that's him not getting the signal, they're not getting the signals in fast enough to him. I don't know, but there was a disconnect there too, that they burned some timeouts that I think were preventable, but I don't know the reason where the disconnect was. I agree with you. He was a drop for me. I do love the arm talent. Some of the throws he makes are wild throws both ways.
Yeah. Yeah, for real.
So, but there's something there's some kind of disconnect there, and what I've seen so far of him. And I still have a lot of questions. If I knew that the number of quarterbacks that are coming out in this draft, and I would really consider him, if I was him, to go back to school to get another year in if he has
Is
that.
he eligible? He's been around forever.
Yeah, I don't know if he's eligible or not, but if he's eligible, take another year. But you know, I'm seeing some. You're going to get, and I don't want to compare him yet to him. It's too early, but I'm seeing some Jamarcus Russell in him.
Now, just to clarify, just because Jamarcus Russell, you would know better than I. He worked 0 hours to get better at his craft.
I don't know anything on the off field.
You're just talking about on the field. Okay, I just want to be clear about that. Okay,
it's just what I see on the field because he just locks in, and it's almost like he predetermines his throw.
Yeah,
and he's throwing it to that guy no matter what.
Right.
Whether he's open or not open, he doesn't scan the field. He never moves the safety with his eyes. He doesn't process and go through his progressions. It's all, like I said, all or none on what he's seeing. And sometimes the all is great. Sometimes the none is not great.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, he didn't seem to play with a ton of confidence. And you sort of compare that to what Spencer Rattler's doing, where he's just getting punched in the face and he's getting back up. He's going through his reads.
Well, you may also, I don't want to make excuse for him too, is that's just maybe experience, because the Rattler been through a lot of games, been through a lot of hostile environments.
That's true.
It's first time starting in his career. And
here's the other thing. And Debo just pointed this out to me. He's in his 6th year. So I don't think you can't come back.
No,
yeah, I don't know. I mean,
for me,
he gets a lot of balls batted down the line of scrimmage, which is a weird thing when you're 6'4", 6'5", and I don't know if that's just because he's throwing 99-mile-an-hour fastballs and everything. And it feels like when he tries to throw the changeup that he struggles with the accuracy. He's pretty good on the short, quick throws, which is, hits the ball. It gives the receiver a chance to get yards after catch. But you can't play in the NFL if all you're doing is throwing tunnel screens and you have a Nolan Ryan fastball, to date myself with a baseball term. All right, so it sounds like your drop. I think I'm going to be a drop on this. Your comp was Jamarcus. I wrote down a bigger Malik Willis, but I think Malik Willis is further advanced in terms of where he is because Malik went in the 3rd round.
Yeah, but Malik Willis was a better athlete.
Better athlete too. Yeah, no, that's true. Joe's a day 3 guy, maybe. Like if he got undrafted, I wouldn't be shocked.
Someone may take a swing on him late just because of the size and the arm talent, but he's a project.
He's a project. A lot of tools, but let's got to be realistic about it. Okay, a lot of season left, so he can certainly fix that. A guy who's not a project, and my goodness, this guy, his arm must be iced. They must ice his arm down between quarters. Michael Penix, quarterback, Washington. The game plan was to throw bombs and then to throw more bombs.
Game plan is to throw bombs.
They played Michigan State. They beat the brakes off Michigan State. I think it was at least 28-0 at one point. I don't know how out of hand it got. They had him. I think Michael played into the 4th quarter. He's definitely played 3 quarters. 3 quarters in, and they were up by 400 points. He was still throwing bombs. He consistently throws on time and accurate. Look, he faced 0 pressure. This was basically a 7-on-7 drill for him. But he throws off platform well. He can throw both going to his left and to his right accurately. He throws with anticipation. The only thing, and we've talked about this and you've mentioned it, he has the injuries, but he's been healthy for a little bit here. That's good. He's a little older, but that doesn't matter when you're a quarterback. I remain impressed with what Michael Penix Jr. has done, given where he was when he transferred from Indiana.
Yeah, his biggest negative is his mobility. And but he's putting up numbers, and it's a shame that everything that's going on at Michigan State right now and everything. Yeah. They didn't look like they really came out and competed much this game.
Hard to blame them.
And there were shots down the field. This kid has 2 pretty good receivers, and he has a lot of faith in them putting the ball up and them going to get the ball. Now, I give him credit because he's very accurate as a down the field thrower. Only negative I have on him right now is the mobility. And can he get outside the pocket? I don't agree with the accuracy as much outside the pocket as you do.
Is he more athletic than Tua? Because he feels like Tua-ish to me.
Now, there you go. Because when he's on time with his throws, that's what makes Tua so good right now, is the timing, because he gets the ball out. And when this kid gets the ball out, I know the both left-handers, I don't think he is at Tua's level.
No, I just mean athletically though.
Tua may be a little more athletic.
Okay,
This kid just looks stiff through his lower body, and probably because of all the
his
injuries.
knees hurt.
Yeah, but he does have arm talent, and he's going to catch people's attention.
Does anyone throw a better deep ball in college football right now?
Shadir is close.
Shadir is close.
Caleb Williams can fling the ball deep too.
Yeah, we're not. The thing is, we're not even talking about Caleb Williams because we're so caught up in all these other guys, which is pretty funny. And you mentioned the 2 wide receivers for the Huskies, Rome Odunze. We talked about him in the summer scouting. He had a good game, and of course, the other receiver that I actually like a little more, I think you do too, Jalen McMillan, number 11. Both those guys are just playmakers, and it helps to have a quarterback that gets you the ball. And that's exactly what Michael Penix has been doing, and he's in the final year of his eligibility as well. You pop? Does Michael Penix, is he a day 2 guy? I feel like he is.
Yeah, he's probably going to be in the Friday. There's a bunch of these guys jockeying for 3 through 7 or 8, whatever they are. The Bo Nixes of the world.
Yeah, you're talking about rankings, not draft. Like they're
yeah.
And they all may end up in day 2.
Yeah, that's why I think this is a very deep draft class for quarterbacks after the 2, but not in the first round. They may all be Friday guys, but it'll eventually someone's going to pop by the time we get to the draft in 219 days. There may be more guys entering into that first round.
More? All right. We'll do a couple more guys here, then we'll take a break unless Debo instructs me otherwise. All right. This is a guy that's been requested on the 5-star reviews that they want to hear us talk about him. We talked about him a little bit last week with Josh Edwards, who had them going in the first round. Michigan quarterback J.J. McCarthy. I went back and watched the ECU opener, where, as you warned, there was no defense being played in that game, and it was J.J. looked great. He struggled a little bit in this game in terms of some of his throws, but some of the other throws you can see why he's so intriguing. The athleticism we know about. That offense in Michigan, they only on the field for 45 snaps, which is insanely low if you're talking about college football games, which can run into the 80s and sometimes 90s for offensive and defensive snaps. Craig Emilio asked about the J.J. McCarthy of the 5-star review, so shout out to Craig for that. He throws with anticipation at times. The first interception against Bowling Green looks like he was looking left to his tight end. It was covered. He came back to the right to try to hit the over, and he didn't see the backside defensive back. And, you would like to have him see that. I don't know the exact reasons for the miscue, but it's just something that you make a note about. Sometimes I thought he got a little jumpy in clean pockets, and when he sort of felt there was pressure coming, even if the running back picked up the blitz, and that's something you're a little concerned about. And I wanted to see him be a little more consistent on the downfield throws. He threw some darts downfield. One of the touchdown throws was a great throw. Then other ones he missed by 5 or 6 yards on overthrows. He would come back and layer it in perfectly. So just a little bit more consistency. What do you think?
Yeah, I really thought, he played well at the end of last year in the Ohio State game and in the TCU game in the shootout. Although he made a couple mistakes, but he kept bringing them back and had him in the game late. When you watch the first couple games of this season, you mentioned ECU, he looked like he took another step forward. And
yeah,
Josh said he was his number 3 quarterback. And I wasn't so sure that he wasn't based off what I've seen so far this year, but I thought he really dropped in this game. He wasn't a pop like he was in the other games that I watched this season. It looked like it was Bowling Green. He was almost overconfident and trying to do some of the things that he was trying to do. He's not going to get away with that once they start conference play. I mean, you don't throw an interception in the red zone. That's just a poor decision that he made down there. And he forced some things that he normally doesn't do. So he just needs to go out there and be consistent each week, week in and week out. He does have a strong enough arm. He throws with anticipation. He throws a catchable ball. He makes accurate throws at all levels of the field. He is athletic. He has all the traits that you're looking for. But this game, he seemed to be off, or he seemed to be forcing things for whatever reason. And whether it was overconfident or, hey, it's Bowling Green, so I'll take chances here. He can't make those same type of mistakes as they go forward into the season.
I'll use the word disappointment. You can change it if you want to. More disappointing in Drake May versus App State last week, which was not a ACC opponent, or more disappointed in the Bowling Green performance by JJ McCarthy?
Probably more disappointed in this one.
Okay.
Because it was nice. There was no weather conditions in this one.
Yeah. And Bowling Green came out to play, too. They acted like they were Colorado State out there, the way they were dialing it up on defense.
Yep.
Did it sound like a drop from you?
Yes.
I'm going to go drop as well. He's still a day 2, probably second-round guy for me right now. How you feel about that?
Yeah. The way he was trending, I would have put him in day 1.
Yeah.
But then this game, all of a sudden, you let's put on the brakes here. Let's wait and see what he does when he plays against some of the big boys.
You want to hear my comp?
Yeah, I'd love to hear your comp. I look forward to your comps. I really did.
Hold on to your seat there, buddy. Desmond Ridder. Oh, I lost him. He's a better arm than Desmond, but it's just the athletic.
More accurate passer than Desmond Ridder.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That was one of my big concerns with Des coming out.
Maybe similar type athlete. I don't think it's the same size as Desmond Ridder.
Who's bigger? You think Des is bigger?
Yeah.
Okay.
Des was pretty thick.
Yeah.
So I would say athleticism, I would agree with you. Accuracy, this kid, when he doesn't do what he did in the Bowling Green game.
When he doesn't throw 3 picks, he's really accurate. He is where I agree. And I think he has a little better arm. But plenty of time to sort out this stuff here. All right, one more name, and then we'll hit a break here. Wide receiver. And we're going to talk some wide receivers when we talk about the NFL guys, too. But this is our wide receiver college conversation. You mentioned his name earlier. We talked about him in summer scouting. LSU's Malik Neighbors, number 8. He was all over the tape last year when we were trying to squeeze the blood out of the turnip that was Kayshon Boutte. Malik Neighbors became the first Power 5 player with 10 receptions, 150 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns since Devonta Smith in 2020.
In a half.
And a half what? I can't read the bottom of the screen.
In a half.
In a half. I missed a bit. Oh, that's a big part. Yeah, I couldn't read that part. My screen's too small.
That's a critical piece not to forget.
Yeah, thank you for that part. Basically, he's Puka Nacua is what I'm hearing. What a world we're living in. So let's talk about Malik quickly here. He played, they lined him up everywhere. Outside, slot, they stacked him up. He's thrown the ball before, so he does all sorts of things. And I targeted all 12 targets he had, or 12 catches. No, he had 13 catches. Sorry.
13 targets, all catches.
Yeah. So they had him running a bunch of hitches. He ran some shallows. He ran an out route, corner, inside fade, curled. So they have him doing everything. Stutter go. He was absolutely destroying the defensive back. He did it twice. And both times, I think they were successful. One went for 49 yards. Tunnel screens. So you name it, Malik Neighbors can do it. What is not to like about this young man's game?
Well, this kid, this week, well, it helped that the quarterback was on too, because the quarterback probably played his best game of the season.
And we talked about the Florida State game where he was not on quite as much.
No, but when you give this kid the opportunities, this kid is as polished of a receiver coming out. I think he has good speed. He is so smooth on that double move where he cut the ball along the sidelines. Very good route runner. Has a knack for playing the position. Excellent hands. Will catch in traffic, contested. This guy, to me, has a legit chance to be the number 1 or number 3 receiver off the board.
Oh, boy. I thought you were going to say number 1. I was going to have to stop the podcast.
We'd be kicked out. We would be then, Debo would say, just stop evaluating talent. Okay.
So wait a second, though. I have him right now. Who's your number 2? Keon?
No, Ibuka.
Oh, right. You love Ibuka. That's right. That's right. Emeka Ibuka. I haven't yet watched Ohio State because they haven't really played anyone yet. That'll change this. They face Notre Dame on Saturday, so I'll be eyes on that one. I had Malik and Ibuka about the same late day 1 guys right now, based on what Malik did over the weekend. Malik Neighbors, but this guy feels like a day 1 guy, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's a first-round pick.
Yeah, okay. I want to make sure we're on the same page as that. Yeah. I don't have a real comp. Does one go through the Rolodex for you, or you're not there yet?
For what?
For Malik Neighbors, a comp.
A faster Smith than Jigba.
But Jackson didn't play outside that much.
No, but this kid is as polished of a route runner.
Okay.
Or as good as, and I just think he's a faster Smith than Jigba.
Yeah, and Jackson ended up running a 4.5 his pro day. He plays faster than that. Malik Neighbors, I don't know what he's going to run, but he plays fast as well. I can't imagine we're living in a world where this young man has 13 catches for 203 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he does not get pop. So I'm going to pencil you in as a pop, Rick.
You are on it today.
I am on it on 3 hours of sleep. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have a couple things to hit on, but we're going to start with the rookie quarterback performances from the first round picks right after this.
Saturday, doubleheader action on CBS. Ole Miss takes on the Tide in Alabama. Then a primetime whiteout as Iowa faces Penn State. Saturday on CBS and streaming on Paramount+.
All right, Rick, let's talk about the rookie quarterbacks who went 1, 2, and 4. Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson. We're going to start in Houston, where Anthony Richardson faced off against C.J. Stroud. C.J. was questionable, I believe, early in the week with a shoulder. He ended up playing that game, throwing the ball 47 times, so I guess the shoulder's okay. Anthony left with a concussion, and this is becoming a theme. First game, he took on Josh Allen, the edge rusher for Jacksonville, and got stonewalled, and that hurt late in the game. This game, he had the 2 rushing touchdowns. The second time, he banged his head on the turf, and you can say whether it's turf. I think it was grass. It wouldn't have mattered. He would have been concussed. He landed pretty hard. And let's start with that. So Jalen Hurts and Debo had talked about this on the Sunday Night podcast. Jalen Hurts is really good at avoiding hits. Russ Wilson is really good at avoiding hits. RG3, was not, and that was part of the reason his career was shortened. And I know I've asked you this before, but how do you sort of drill into Anthony's head that you got to be less available to get destroyed against NFL football players?
Yeah, it's just got to be smart. You just have to show him examples of other quarterbacks and what they do, especially with the unique physical ability that he has, because you have to stay healthy. Because there's no question, watching this game here, the freak athlete continues to show up week in, out. You know, the quarterback draw, he goes in untouched. I understand, where he gets hit, but he doesn't have to take that hit. He's still going to score, or if he dives into the end zone, just avoid as many hits as you can. Live to play another down. And you don't have to truck guys because they're a little different breed of cat up here in the NFL.
Right.
The collegiate level, and they're going to whack you if they get an opportunity to whack you. And so I think once he learns that, and I think this is all great teaching points, then he's going to be pretty unique and pretty special. But you don't do the same things as a runner that you did in college. And I think he will eventually learn that. Hopefully getting hurt the first 2 weeks of the season will get the message into his head.
He's a smart kid, and he's a very, by all accounts, a very...
I'm the biggest, as Pete calls me, a meathead, thick through the head that takes me a few reps before I figure out that, hey, you can't do that anymore.
Right.
Actually go around the wall. Don't run through the damn brick wall. Why? It's this time.
But, I think part of it is that he grew up in Florida. I don't think he left home at all. I think he's like a hometown kid and very focused on football, a very shucks Mayberry type guy. He's not glitz and glamour from what I understand. And he's laser focused on football. And I'm sure the competitive spirit, and we saw all that competitiveness at times show itself with the frustration of not doing what he thinks he's capable of. But I think you have to be extremely happy with where he is in his development when he's on the field and some of the decisions he's making, throwing the football as well, if you're Shane Steichen.
The freak thing that I thought was incredible was that he scrambled to his left and he actually threw it with his left hand. It wasn't a complete pass, but
that's a heady play. Like, he's not trying to complete the ball. He's like, let me get out of bounds.
Yeah, and that was a great heads-up play of avoiding a sack. And he actually threw the ball pretty good left-handed.
What my comp for him left-handed is? Tim Tebow. Had to get that in.
Okay, great.
I lost you.
The arm talent is incredible. The accuracy is still off on some throws. He's getting better, getting through his progressions.
Yeah.
You can almost we'll talk about all three of these guys, but it's kind of fun to watch the maturation process of these guys as they continue to go. But I think Anthony Richardson will learn, and he's learning it the hard way. But he will learn to be smarter instead of taking some of the unnecessary hits that he needs to take.
Okay, let's talk about the quarterback on the other side of the field. C.J. Stroud, the number 2 overall pick, 30-47 for 384 and 2 touchdowns. We talked last week about his debut against the Ravens, which was up and down, and understandably so. The Ravens were getting after it. I thought he did some good things as the game progressed. I'll be honest, I only watched the broadcast of these 3 quarterbacks. I didn't have time to get to it because Devo gave me so much homework, and I was also just traveling from the Stanford trip. So you have to give me the Cliff's notes of and it sounds like you were impressed with CJ's development from week 1 to week 2.
Oh my God. I remember this kid made probably the biggest strides out of any of these young quarterbacks from what we saw in that New England first preseason game.
Oh yeah. Remember that? He threw a terrible interception. That's right.
To where he's at right now. He is so much more poised in the pocket. And again, he's getting rattled pretty good. They're getting a lot of pressure on him. But the one thing that I really noticed that he has taken strides in is when he feels that pressure coming on the outside. A lot of these young quarterbacks, because they were just better athletes than what they faced in college, would kind of try to scramble around outside that rush.
Yep.
Hitching up into the pocket. And that's a sign that this kid's starting to get it. So as pressure comes on his outside, you see him hitch up and take a couple steps up in the pocket, keeping his eyes down field and making some incredible throws. Now they're not all of them aren't taking a lot of shots downfield, but he's at that intermediate level, and some of the timing throws that he's hitting between the numbers at the 15 to 20 yard mark is very good. He can make the throws outside the hash. He is athletic enough to make plays with his feet. I think this kid, Anthony Richardson, is showing because he's such a great athlete. And we'll talk about Bryce Young, but this kid has made huge strides. And his accuracy has much improved. If you wanted to say, he wasn't the athlete that Justin Fields was coming out, because we really didn't see his athleticism. That was one of the knocks on him coming out in the draft.
Yeah.
That Georgia game. Now you're seeing that, but he is a much better thrower than Justin Fields is, in my opinion.
No, that's right. We said that repeatedly during the draft process. He will throw with anticipation, which is, a sort of a drum we continue to beat. Debo makes note that right now, Anthony Richardson has the second favorite odds to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I don't know who number 1 is, but I can guess.
Yeah, no, it's your low-hanging fruit guy.
It rhymes with Bijan Robinson. All right, let's talk about Bryce. Again, I just watched the game last night while I was doing the CBS Sports HQ, so I didn't get to see it closely. He had that fumble in the first half that you can't happen. You like to see him throw the ball on time, but I haven't gone back and watched it with the details. Just my initial TV impressions was that he didn't make a lot of improvement from week 1. I was okay with week 1, other than 2 interceptions, of course. But how did it look to you when you went back and watched his throws?
I thought he did make a step forward this week when I watched.
He did, yes?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
He moves around well in the pocket. He was pressured a lot. He's getting the ball out. The one thing that I noticed on one particular throw, he was getting ready to throw the ball in the middle of the field. Last week, Jesse Bates got him twice on that.
Yep.
One he recocked because he read that guy. So to me, that's a sign of growth. But he made some nice throws, especially late in the game. Threw a great route down the field. Then he threw the touchdown to Thielen. Then it was typical Bryce rolling to his right on 2-point conversion and let patient, and then dumping in at the last second for the 2-point conversion. Does he still have to grow? Yeah. Did he miss some throws? Yes. He can't turn the ball over when he scrambled. That 3 points, they were in field goal range right before the half. That 3 points ended up costing them the game. But I think he's continuing to grow as well. I was really impressed with where we saw these guys in week 1 of the preseason, because we've been watching these guys.
Yeah.
And where they're at now and where they're going to be 5 weeks from now, where they're going to be at the end of the season.
Yeah, I'll go back and watch these guys this week, and I'll be caught up to speed there. But that's a good point. Anthony Richardson had that sort of weird interception early on in the Bills game in the preseason. We talked about C.J. Stroud's pick against the Patriots, and Bryce was running for his life in that preseason opener. I don't even remember who they were playing, but he didn't stand a chance in the handful of times he was on the field. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to give you my top 5 rookie non-quarterback performances from Sunday, and Rick, you can tell me if you like them or not right after this.
Are you guys ready to win some money?
It's never been more fun to win.
$1 million!
Loteria Loca. Series premiere Monday, October 2nd on CBS and streaming on Paramount+.
All right, let's get through these top 5 guys here, Rick. I didn't watch every single rookie performance, but these are some of the ones that popped out. Me and Debo had a confab. I don't know if that's the right word, but I'm using it. And then I went back and watched these guys, and I didn't rank them solely on their stat line. I went back and watched them and made some inferences and came up with this list. At number 5, Marvin Mims, second-round pick out of Oklahoma. We talked to him at the Combine. Smart dude, hard worker, plays with an edge, even though he comes across as soft-spoken. And he was a favorite target, if you want to call it that, for Russ Wilson. 2 receptions, 113 yards, a touchdown. He also had a punt return for 45 yards, and that's an added element to his game. He got the ball, got the punt, and just punt return right, and then outrun everyone to about midfield, if I recall correctly. First target was tight split, middle field open, and the safety doesn't get over quickly enough, and it's the easiest 60-yard touchdown throw Russ Wilson will ever make. It was just basically a 60-yard handoff. But Marvin Mims is outrunning everyone to the end zone. We saw that at Oklahoma all over the tape. What were your impressions of Marvin, who's number 5 on my list?
Yeah, no, speed. It's pretty evident. Yeah. Return when he blew by your corner Forbes.
He stacked Forbes for sure. That's right.
On the go ball. They gave him a couple of jet sweeps and whatever you want to call them. He's just so smooth and so fluid, and he runs so easy. He just makes it look easy, and he's just on top of the DBs before they know it. And he blew by that safety that you were talking about earlier, and there wasn't even a chance.
Oh, Kareem Jackson got burnt?
So, no. This kid, Kareem Jackson plays for Denver.
Oh, sorry. Who's the safety? Cameron Curl?
I don't know who it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But speed shows up, and expect a lot of big things and a lot more explosive plays out of this kid.
Yeah, he's fun. Speaking of explosive plays, a similar size player, but he's somehow more explosive, I think, at least short area quickness wise. And that's saying something because Marvin Mims does not lack in terms of quickness or speed. Number 4 on my list is Zay Flowers, 4 receptions, 62 yards. I double checked to make sure I didn't miss it. He didn't have any kick or punt returns, although he's certainly capable of doing that. I'll just say it again. Like, they give him the ball in space and let him do his thing. Todd Monken's like, we're going to run some flats. We're going to run some swing routes, tunnel screens. Just let him pretend like it's a return situation, and then he makes people miss an open field. My comp for him is Antonio Brown in his prime. He's not that big, not that much smaller than him, but in terms of his short area quickness and his ability to make people miss. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, that's very good, Ryan. You're doing an excellent job with your comps today. You got it with short. You're actually better when you don't have any sleep with your comps.
I know, right? I should sleep less.
But no, he plays like a veteran. His presence, his route running ability, his rack run after catch ability, even the deep shot that he went up and got down the field for a guy, that was impressive. Very elusive. I mean, he got up, they ruled him down, but he must have juked those 3 guys 6 times before they blew the whistle. But no, he's an impressive playmaker and a great pick by Baltimore.
And Lamar looks like he's got something to prove the way he's playing. He's playing from the pocket. He's making good decisions
this week than I thought he did in opening week 1. The offense started to seem to be more in sync, starting to grow. I think Monken and Lamar are getting on the same page. Monken's starting to understand the weapons around him and how to utilize them, and getting into a flow of a play caller again at the NFL level. So I think that's all going to continue to improve.
Yep, good point. Todd Monken came from Georgia, where he was OC there before. Previously, he'd been in the NFL too. All right, number 3 on the list. And, I mean, he should be number 1 based solely on his numbers. But I got a couple other guys. Puka Nacua, 15 catches, 20 targets, 147 yards. Most receptions in the first 2 games of a career of anyone on planet Earth. Last week, he went for 119, which was tied for the team lead with Tutu Atwell, if I recall correctly. We talked about him last week as well. I mean, look, we went through this last week. He was a day 3 guy. He fits exactly what Sean McVay wants to do. They have him running hitches and slants all day long.
Shallow
crosses. He ran that corner out last week that you talked about. That was a great throw for Matthew Stafford, but they're not asking him to do a ton of that. He just finds the holes in the zone. He has good hands, and then he has some yak ability because he's a pretty thick dude. I mean, what's not to love?
I don't think he's a great run after catch guy. I think he gets what's given to him. Now, he'll break a tackle here or there because of his size, but if you have him with, I mean, you tell me, since you're the guru on this podcast, would you rather have Zay Flowers after the catch or this kid after the catch? I mean, what are you doing with yourself? Where are we at? What are we doing right now?
He's running through arm tackles. That's a better way to put it. Yeah, he's not juking guys out of their sneakers. That's right.
Yeah, and he's getting a lot of opportunities. He's taking advantage of those opportunities. Now, when you see Mims run jet sweeps or those reverses, and
why are you comparing this guy? By the way, I
got him above those two.
Debo notes, so you've now come down on Puka 2 straight weeks. He's a 5th-round pick.
I'm not coming down on it. I'm just saying that
you're mad at me.
I'm just mad. He is a smart, savvy, plays like a veteran, knows how to work the underneath routes, knows how to find open areas in the zones. He's a better player above his neck than he is below his neck with all the natural. He doesn't have the natural physical gifts some of these other guys have, but he's so smart above the neck is why he's having the.
He's not as good an athlete as Adam Thielen in his prime, right?
No, Adam was a little quicker twitch into and out of his routes.
But also smart and understood where to be and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And I will say this. I do not understand if that's his only target as long as Cooper Kupp is out. Just play man. Just
that's the other thing. Yeah, that's weird. 2 straight weeks, he's just been standing in the middle of the field catching warm-up passes basically and going for over 200 yards. He's number 3 on my list. He apparently, Debo, Rick has him dead last among all rookie performances over the first 2 weeks.
And I'm not going to discredit what he does because that's pretty incredible production. But
I'm giving you a hard time.
Targets, but he is not as gifted athletically as or Flowers in my
That's some high level GM talk right there. Puka Nacua, not Zay Flowers athletically. If I said that, you would have killed me. All right. You're right. I get it.
Apparently you think that because you put him ahead of those other 2.
You can't overlook the 15 catches on 20 targets.
Okay, fantasy land guy.
Have you ever seen it? Like Antonio Brown would get sometimes double-digit targets, but like, does Justin Jefferson, has he ever gotten 20 targets? That's insane.
No, I don't know if he gets a lot of targets.
Man, all right, number 2 on my list. You will not dispute this because I went back and watched this guy.
I'm disputing this.
You are? Oh, I thought he had a great game. Christian Gonzalez, cornerback out of New England, their 1st-round pick. He was on the list last week as well. That interception was one of the most impressive interceptions I've seen in a little bit. The one against Tyreek Hill late in the game. It was the only snap in coverage, at least, where he was playing too high safety. He usually lined up out
did from the safety position.
But he had to do the baseball turn. He was, and the reason that Tua threw it was because Christian's back was to the sideline where Tyreek was. He turned around, Christian did, and then high pointed the ball. Now he's much taller than Tyreek, but Tyreek's a great athlete and also incredibly strong physically. Tyreek is, and I give him credit because one of the issues we had with Christian was whether he was going to be tough enough. Not that whether he's a tough person, but in terms of matching up against these physical wide receivers. And I came away pretty happy with the way he played, not just on that play, but also against the Dolphins and also last week against the Eagles.
Yeah, no, he had a good game and he's getting better. I thought he took strides from week 1 to week 2. It was a great interception, getting off the hash, reading the quarterback's eyes, anticipating going up and high and pointing the ball. You know, the question, he didn't have him in Oregon, was the ball skills. Well, that question was answered just watching that one play alone.
Pretty quick, yeah.
I thought he was more physical and run support.
Yeah.
And he's improving in that area. So I agree with you that he took big strides this week.
Oh, so you're kidding? He's number 2 for you or not? You okay with that? Or should it be number 1?
Well, no, I would put Puka as number 1. I'm just kidding.
Oh, God. I can't take this, Devo. I'm working on 15 minutes sleep and got the comedian over here. By the way, Debo notes that Jefferson had 3 games with 16 targets, and they were career highs for him. So he's no Puka Nacua is what we can say about Justin Jefferson.
No, I know. If you would take Puka over JJ, that's fine.
Every day of the week. Come on now.
Ryan,
all right.
Jumping on FanDuel and putting 12-1 on Christian Gonzalez, defensive rookie of the year.
Oh, yeah. So Debo, if you're listening, has the odds up for a NFL defensive rookie of the year. Christian Gonzalez is 1,200 to 1. What does that mean, Rick? 1,200 to 1.
That means if you put $1 down, you can win $1,200 if you win.
Again, best gambling podcast in the nation. Plus 1,200 or 12 to 1. 1,200 to 1 would be a little different.
All right, 12 to 1. $1 gets you $12.
1,200, or am I not seeing that?
They're basing it. They do it on 100 scale. Right. I agree with you. I have to do the math because, again, like as Debo notes, we're not gambling experts. But how do you feel about these longish odds of Christian Gonzalez? Would you put that down on him? Because he's had 2 good games. But again, Jalen Carter's ahead of him. Will Anderson's ahead of him.
Yeah, no, I think he's popped up. Yeah, he's. Do these odds change every week?
Yeah.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if let's say Jalen Carter wins it.
What was it before? Like $2,200 to $1?
Probably. It was probably much higher. Exactly. He's played well the first 2 weeks. Like back in.
What if I bet like in the first week I put $1 that I can win $2,200? Now it's $1,200. What if it ends up at 12 to 1 odds and I only win $12?
No, you're locked in. Whatever you get the number at the moment you make the bet, you're locked into that. So you don't have to worry about it changing.
Like Rick, when you picked Jack Campbell preseason, he was at around 15 to 1 odds. And now based on 2 games, they have him down to 30 to 1. So it's like if you see value and you still think he has a great chance, like 30 to 1 is a much better number
you
to
can
get
double your money if you feel good about it.
than 2 weeks ago.
3,000 to 1. It's plus 3,000.
Divide by 100 and then you'll have it. Or don't. It's up to you. But good game for Christian Gonzalez. I don't know if he's rookie of the year yet. I think we didn't talk about Jalen Carter today. I didn't watch him yet, but last week that might last him for a month or so in terms of his rookie of the year votes. Number 1, no surprise, Bijan Robinson. Again, turns out he's worth the number 8 overall pick, even though he plays quotation marks running back. And we had some injuries over the weekend to the running backs, which is terrible news. Saquon hurt his ankle. He's going to return at some point in a few weeks, hopefully. Unfortunately, Nick Chubb is lost for the season after that hit from Minkah Fitzpatrick on Monday night, and that's a terrible blow. I'm glad that Chubb was able to get that second contract. Hopefully he comes back, 28 years old, and he's stronger than ever next year. But just a sort of a note on the running backs and their precarious situation with trying to get paid and all. But Bijan has been so much fun to watch the 2 games. Ran the ball 19 times for 124 yards, had 4 more receptions for 48. It feels like every time he touches the ball, he's going to get 7 or 8 yards. I think he averaged over 5, maybe close to 6 yards per carry, close to 6, if I can do the math there in my head. What do you think about Bijan, and should they be giving the ball more often?
No, why would we want to give him to our best offensive playmaker? Why would we do that? Now, speed, the athleticism, the power. I mean, he's trucking dudes on contact. The 2 things that really stuck out to me this game was that there is no hesitation on him running inside. Once he sees that crease, he is gone. And a lot of times these young guys will try to, because they're so fast, like to bounce it outside. This guy is going right up through the chute and with no hesitation at all. The other incredible play that wasn't, it seemed like a big number play on 4th and 1. They pitched the ball to him, or he got to the outside, and he made 2 guys miss and got 2 yards. It was a great run because that ended the game. It was late. I think it took him inside the 2-minute drill then in the 4th quarter. But just his ability to make that play sealed the victory for Atlanta.
So Drake London wasn't targeted very much in week 1, if I recall correctly. He did get 6 targets for 67 yards. But if Arthur Smith is leaning into this run game, why are we taking Drake London with a top 15 pick, wherever he was last year? Like, are we using this guy or not? Like, what's the plan?
Yeah, no, I think they'll use him. And I think the more confidence that Ritter gets as he continues to grow.
Okay.
He's got, he's making enough plays to keep the Falcons 2-0. They're playing better on defense. And they got probably, if I bet $1 on him, I would lose $100 because it's probably minus 100 or whatever the hell that means. Because this dude's going to be the rookie of the year if he stays healthy.
You got to bet the 100 up front. You can't. They don't come back to you after you lose your bet and try to collect, because typically people don't pay on that. All right, I'm going to ask you this question. We know Puka Nacua is short area quickness better than Bijan, but Bijan or Zay Flowers, who's better?
I disagree with you.
No, of course Puka's not. I'm joking because you're killing me on Puka. I want to ask you though, short area wise, making guys missing the old phone booth there. Bijan or Zay? Who are you taking?
Ooh, I would take Bijan because it's more impressive because of his size.
It really is.
Yeah.
No, I think that's right.
He's fun to watch.
And you know what? We talked to Zay at the combine. I think you were doing one of your side jobs and Bijan was on set, but we talked to Bijan via the podcast here.
Yeah.
All great guys, all
kids.
Yeah, so wonderful. And I'm glad these guys are having success. The joke went right over Rick's head there.
I didn't get it.
The Puka joke. You thought it was serious. What planet am I saying Puka's more athletic than Bijan?
I don't know. It's like you're on the Puka bandwagon. I mean,
I am on it's called the Puka wagon, by the way.
We gotta make a Rick hate list, and Puka's number one right now.
Yeah, disrespectful. I love Puka. Don't get mad,
Jalen
people.
Hurts,
Rick,
number 2.
who's number 2? Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. I don't forget.
Oh yeah, what did he say about Jalen?
He said he wanted him to go into the game as a punter.
Oh, never mind. Don't repeat it. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I forgot about that part. I know he loved him in the Senior Bowl, the interviews or the combine interviews. All right, that's it, Rick. By the way,
what do you have to look forward to on Thursday?
Oh, it's a mailbag, so no homework.
Oh, no homework. We're going straight out the chutes.
Well, Debo may have us do some evaluations for some of the 5-star reviews, so he'll let us know about that. But I don't think it'll be the 27 people that typically he sends us on Monday morning and expects us to have ready by Tuesday. I thought we did pretty good. You picked up the slack on me not watching those quarterbacks. I'll get back to watch those guys. But yeah, I think that's it. So if you like what we do here, take a quick second to give us all a thumbs up on YouTube. If you love what we do, subscribe to the old podcast with a 5-star rating. And remember, 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts with a prospect name, and we'll evaluate that player on an upcoming show. We've done it a handful of guys already. We'll do some more in the coming weeks. That's it, Rick.
And yeah, I'm glad that's clarified because the 5-star thing got me confused.
Oh, they're doing high school kids. Yeah, you have to get the huddle tape.
What's this 5-star high school kid? I don't know what.
Have you ever watched it? When's the last time you watched a high school all 22?
When I went and watched my kids play.
Oh, okay. You go back and watch the coach's tape?
No, I wouldn't watch the coach's tape, but I would watch I watched some of their stuff on Huddle. I did if I had time.
Man, that's a lifer right there. That's hardcore.
So,
all right. We're not doing any high school tape here. 5-star reviews on the podcast that Debo tried to show you how to give us a 5-star from. That's what he means, Rick. So no fear there.
It's amazing how things aren't clearly laid out. I mean, if someone's taking everything literally.
That's true. You do take it. That's on us. That's right. Yeah, that's right. You're a pocket passer, and we're trying to make you be Michael Vick. That's on us. Debo, fit the quarterback in the system. Don't try to put the round peg in the square hole.
Just be clear on the assignments. That's all I'm asking.
I can hear Debo shaking his head. I don't even have to see him. Somehow, Rick, Debo has survived 81 episodes, so congratulations to Debo. That's amazing. We've done 81. Count down to 100. We'll do something special. All right. Thank you, Rick. Thanks as always. Thanks to Debo for producing. Thanks to all you guys who watch and listen and comment. Get your mailbag questions in now, and we'll see you guys back here on Thursday for the old mailbag episode.